Okay, welcome to Teal House Farm. Woo, my hair is a mess. I apologize. So I was not gonna video this, and then I thought, oh my gosh, this is the perfect like a canning pantry Tuesday video. So we're gonna video this, even though I'm not 100% physically prepared. So every Tuesday, because it's Tuesday, right? We show you how to cook something real simple using things in your canning pantry. Today we're going to do a rice and salmon and vegetable dish that you can kind of throw together. I'm throwing together real fast for lunch. We just got home from church. Most of the kids are just having like sandwiches that I put on the table. But Sam and I are going to have something a little bit more substantial / healthier, and some of the kids actually really like this, that they'll put some of this on their plate too. But let me show you what you need. Okay, so we're going to use a jar of our herb flavored rice-a-roni mix, and when I posted this recipe, I got so much hate for no roni in my rice-a-roni. The idea is I make these vacuum sealed flavored rice jars to mimic the flavor of rice-a-roni for as cheaply as possible, so they just have rice in here. If you want to add different brands or different flavors of rice-a-roni have different types of either pasta or multiple types of rice in them, you can absolutely do that. It's not going to change the cooking instructions. What it will do is change your cost per jar. So for us as a large family, and for somebody who's trying to send my husband here through nursing school with 6 kids at home and him being the income earner, like, we got to figure out how to feed everybody for just pennies on the dollar. And one of the ways we do this without sacrificing things that we enjoy is to make our own super cheap mix. So today we're going to use the herb one, and I'll link this video below if you want to have the specific recipe for this one, but we're going to use that. We have a ½ pint of mixed bell peppers, non-spicy ones, ½ pint of onions. We have 2 cans of pink salmon. You could also use you could also use chicken for this recipe. Canned chicken, you would just use 1 can. Or you could use, I really like sardines. I know that sounds weird and it makes a lot of people turn up their nose, but I like using the sardines in a mustard sauce for this recipe too. Works really well. And then we have sprouts that I sprouted on the counter. We're gonna put a bunch of these in as well. And I'm probably gonna grab some frozen broccoli if I have some in the freezer still, and we're gonna throw that in too. So this is just vegetables, rice, fish, really simple. We've already got our water boiling, so I'm just making it on the stove. You can make this in the Instapot. I didn't feel like making the Instapot dirty today. So we've got 1 pint of water boiling. And we're going to dump in our 1 pint jar here of our herb mix. Rice, we're going to lower the heat to low so it just simmers, and put a cover on it. I have no idea where the cover for this pot actually is, so we got a too big cover, but it'll be fine. Typically, I also add 2 tablespoons of butter when I do this. It helps make your rice a little bit more flavorful, gives it a nice fluff, but I am out of butter, and so you can cook it with just water. So we get to go grocery. This is a grocery shopping week. You guys know I do a big haul at the beginning of the month, and then we do a little haul later, but then we just kind of make do. It helps us stay on budget because we're not just running to the grocery store every time we need something. So like, I can survive without butter for 2 days until we are actually already have a trip planned to town. I'm going to do a big haul and we'll film that for you, but just, I ran out of butter sooner than I thought it would. It'll be fine. Okay, let's get started on the next part. So we're going to use some bacon grease, but you can use any kind of grease or oil that you want, just a little bit on the bottom of our cast iron pan. Melt that down, and then open our cans of salmon, drain them, dump them in. Then we're going to open our ½ pints of peppers, drain and dump, and the same with the ½ pints of onions. I did have some chopped broccoli in the freezer, so we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit of that to the mix, plus about a teaspoon there of salt and a dash of pepper. The rice is already spiced, so we don't need to add a lot to this. The rice is going to carry the flavor for us. The rice is about done, so I just fluff it up a little bit to get it ready. Okay, we've got the vegetables all kind of warmed up in the pan, stir-fried a bit. The rice is all cooked now, so we're just going to dump it in. It's really simple. We've got protein, we've got our rice in here, the carbs that help fill the belly, and lots of different kinds of vegetables, and the sprouts I put in at the very end so they don't really get cooked because I actually really like that crunch, and also helps maintain some of the nutrition that is in the sprout, which is good for you. So here's another easy way to use up sprouts, because I know when I started with sprouts, I would grow these jars of sprouts on the counter and I would put them in salads, but I couldn't eat them fast enough. And I was like, what else do I do with these? And now I put them on salads, I put them inside of sandwiches, I use them in stir fries, I'll put them inside like omelets or scrambled eggs. I just try to use them all the time. It's such a cheap way to get some sort of green in your diet at a time when greens from the grocery store are pretty darn expensive. Just a reminder too, you don't need to buy sprout seed packets. Like, I have these really neat sprout seed mix packets that my mother-in-law gave me that are in the freezer that I open up. I'll use one of them every once in a while, and they are really cool because they have a variety. But if you want to make sprouts super cheap, go to your grocery store, buy some lentils or other types of small beans, dried beans. They are just seeds ready to be sprouted, and a big bag will cost you like $1, and you could make months worth of sprouts right here on your counter. Now, I do have this cool sprout lid, and I'll link this, but you don't have to have these. I have a video about how I used a splatter screen from the dollar store to make one of these, which is super simple. The downside is eventually it'll start to rust and you'll need to cut a new one, but you can get probably 5 or 6 out of a splatter screen, so it's still pretty darn cheap. I'll link that video below just to show you how it's done. And this is just a nice little investment if you like making sprouts. These are nice because they're not going to rust, and you can use the same one over and over and over and over again. So I'll link that video. It also shows how to make sprouts if that's something you've never tried before. But again, you don't need to spend a lot of money to do something like this. You'll see channels that do spend the money, and they're showing some pretty neat products. But if you just need to get things growing on your counter real cheap to help get more vegetables or greens into your family's diet, you don't have to buy all that special stuff. I have found over the years that most really cool things that some larger channels do with some really neat products, they can be done really cheaply with a little bit of ingenuity. So don't let watching somebody do something with costly products prevent you from wanting to try something like this, because most of this stuff, the products are cool and they do make things simpler. But like for sprouts, for example, the only thing you absolutely have to have is the jar, and you could reuse a jelly jar from the store. It doesn't even have to be a mason jar. So be encouraged. A lot of these things can be done, and that's one thing that we try to show on our channel, how to do things really simply without having to invest a lot of money. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.